Cuttin Station is an affordable, fast, automated desktop pill card cutting machine. The Cuttin Station has an easy-use display capable of delivering numerous cut station features. The Cuttin Station was designed and built with pharmacy employees in mind. The unit is compact, easy to use, and highly affordable for hospitals of any size. The Cuttin Station eliminates manual cutting and other cutting methods that can cause health and safety issues. The Cuttin Station is designed to provide accurate, automated blister card cutting while improving workflow consistency and reducing manual handling. For additional setup and troubleshooting details, scan the QR code on the screen to view the full user manual, or contact our technical support team with the information provided. In this video, we'll cover the key components and functionality, proper setup procedures, and the importance of routine maintenance for reliable performance.
So here are all the different components that make up the Cuttin Station. This is the belt, the conveyor belt, and on it, it has cleats that help push the card. This is the pill detecting sensor, and when it goes up and down, you can see that it trips green. This is the blister guide. You can loosen this up, move it back and forth. These are the cutting cartridges. They move back and forth to align with the pills. And this is the cross-cut cartridge. This is the feeder. You load up all your pills in the back and they feed out one by one to be cut. And then here is our touchscreen controls and UI. The machine is equipped with a pause and restart feature. So at any time while you're running it, I'm just going to turn it on here and let it run. You can hit the pause button and it'll stop right where it's at. And then if you resume, it'll continue to run both its crosscut and its feed, so you don't have to worry about losing your place. So you're running blisters and a phone call comes, you can pause and go do what you need to do, and then you can come back and start over right where you left off. Also on our UI, we have machine counts, and it's going to give us a total number of crosscuts that was completed on this blade, and then it's going to tell you how many cuts were made on each one of the slitter blades. This is that way if you become accustomed to knowing how many cuts before your blade gets dull, you can keep an eye on this and know when it's time to change your blades. So when you go to load your blisters, the first thing you want to watch out for is to make sure that they're not bent and curved like these ones. They have to be completely flat and straight before they go in. So you want to take them, I usually just rub them on the top of the machine here around this edge. Help get it as flat as possible. The next thing we want to watch out for is the spacing from the pill to edge and pill to edge. You see one side is wider than the other. You want to put the narrow side over against the rail on this side. So we're going to drop it down onto the plate and push it all the way over to the side, and then I'll hold it in place and slide my guide over just to where it's touching. You don't want to crush it or bend it, just to where it touches, and then we're going to lock down our guide. The next thing we're going to do is we're going to go into maintenance, and we're going to jog the belt forward so that way we can line up our cutting blades. Just want to bring it out enough to where you can look down and get a visual. Each one of these cutter blades has a line, a slit right in the middle, and that's where your blade is at. So you want to line that slit with where you want your cut to be. You want to make sure you keep it in between the blisters where it's not cutting into a pill compartment and opening those. Once you got them locked in pretty good, make sure these are all pushed down so they don't move around. And then I'm going to jog it forward a couple times to bring my pill back out. Then I can pick my thumbs and push down on this evenly. and then lock down the 2 clamps. And that locks this blade down. So then you want to take and make sure that you load the pills in the proper orientation, the way you had it set up. So the short side is going to go to our right. And I'm going to loosen up my feeder here in the front. And then you can slide the feeder guide in the back to just barely be touching the blister. Again, you don't want to crush it. You don't want to over tighten it. And this right here is a weight. Make sure that this is loose. And the weight just sits on top of it to hold the pills down. Then I'm going to go back to my start page. I'm going to hit start, and as long as there's no warning there, I know that my cartridge is down in the proper position. And then I'm going to put in my pills crossed, which I have 1, 2, 3, 4. So I'll put 4. And this is for the counter to keep track of how many pills are on a blister that you're cutting. The cards to cut, it's set at 99. 99 is essentially infinite loop. As long as it keeps detecting more cards, it'll just keep running one after another after another. If you set this to any other value, like 3, it'll run 3, then stop. So you can load the whole thing up and just run a few, or you can run them all out. So I'm going to go ahead and hit start. And we're going to watch here in the front as it trips each pill. The green light comes on, which calculates the distance between the 2 pills. For our maximum pill height, I've only tested up to 12 millimeter high. These are the biggest pills that were available to me. They're the only ones that I've been able to test as far as large. These ones will cut. They will not cut in between here. They cut by dosage. So then a pill like this or a blister like this will not work because there is not an even number. So if the detector detects this one and this one, it's going to try to cut directly through the center of that pill. Or if you do this way, there's nothing, there's no in between. So it doesn't register and it will not cut these. So these ones cannot be ran. Pills like this, instead of running it like this, like we normally do, you can see there's a gap in between here, and the pill sensor will register that gap and try to cut between them. So we have to run these ones this way, so that way they just detect here and cut there. As far as the plastic and aluminum part itself, you want to stay between 0.25 and 0.7 millimeter. Anything thicker than that gets more difficult to cut. Anything thinner than that has a tendency to bunch up when it comes through the feeder. It's just too thin. So you'll have to be aware that some blisters are actually too thin to run through the feeder. Sometimes you might find that a blister will turn or slide on the belt. That means there's too much tension on the cutting blades. These are too tight. So you'll want to loosen these and back them off a little bit so it's not quite as tight. Also, you might find that the blades don't cut all the way through, which means they're too loose, and you'll have to tighten these up so it holds down tighter on them. That way the blades cut all the way through. There is a median, a middle ground that works on most of the pills out there. So most of the time you don't have to keep messing with it, but you might find those 1 or 2 rare occasions where you may have to adjust the pressure on the pill. And I'm going to show you how to do that. First, we're going to loosen these up, and we're going to mess with these nuts right here. And I'm going to hold on to the rubber piece and loosen this jam nut up. And then if I hold this outer nut and turn this in, that relieves pressure, takes less pressure off. If I hold on to this and I turn it counterclockwise, this goes down, which puts more pressure on it and makes it tighter. So then I'm going to tighten this back up. I'm going to hold my rubber, tighten that back up. You need to do that to both sides. Try to keep them as even as possible. Then when we're adjusting the blade height of the crosscut, in our maintenance screen on our controller, if we go to cutter service position, it moves this out to where we can get to it. We can slide and move these out of the way. And take our number 4 Allen key and then loosen these up, and then you can move this up or down if you need to tighten it up or loosen it up. On this one, if it's too tight, sometimes it'll hesitate or stop when it hits the belt, and that means it's way too low. So we can loosen those up and just bring it up to where it makes its cut, and then tighten it back down. So now we're going to go over how to change the cartridges on the cutter. The first thing you're going to want to do is loosen up the clamps to raise up, and then we're going to remove the bolt on either side of the cartridge using a number 3 Allen wrench. When we lift this up, we're going to be careful not to lose our springs. And once this is removed, we can pop off one of the sides, and the cartridges just slide right off. And then you'll get your replacement and slide it back on. Replace the side, reset your springs, you don't want to over tighten these, you just basically tighten them until they stop turning. Can't see if that one's lined up all the way. In order to change the crosscut blade, we're going to first loosen up this cartridge, and then we'll open up each one of these and slide them all the way over out of the way. Then we're going to go into our maintenance page and our UI and press the cutter to service position button, which moves the crosscut blade over. So we'll take our number 4 Allen wrench, and we're going to remove the same 2 screws that we used to adjust. And it's okay if you just let them drop down to the table. And then we will take our number 3 Allen wrench. Be careful of the sharp edges. Move our screw, move our hold down, and then you switch out your blades. Careful not to lose the spacer. Reverse the process. When you tighten the screw down, you don't want to tighten it so tight that the blade doesn't move. You want it to have a little play in it so it moves. And then we're going to set this back. Into its holder. Replacing our screws. Just a warning that you are going to need to readjust the height of your crosscut blade. So if it doesn't cut all the way through the first time, you might have to lower it down just a little bit. Right. Next, we're going to go over how to adjust and keep the crosscut belt tight. And that's easily removed without any tools. We just slide this off, and your belt adjuster knob is right here. You just kind of want to feel, you don't want it to be too tight or too loose. Just kind of a happy medium in here. If this starts to act kind of funny, check your belt tightness and tension. And then we can just slide this back on. So the next thing we're going to do is change the conveyor belt. And when we go to change the belt, the first thing we're going to have to do is index it around to where the seam is in the back to where we can get to it. So first we want to make sure that our cutting blades are locked down, and we're going to go up to our UI and we're going to push the start button. And then I'm just going to put an arbitrary number in pills across just so that the machine runs. And I'm just going to hit start, and I'm going to watch back here in the back until the seam comes out. So the next thing we're going to do is we're going to come back up to the front, and we're going to open up the clamps and raise up our cutter up off of the bed. And then we're going to loosen up the guide and slide it all the way off of the bed. Then I'm going to raise up the blister weight, and I'm going to twist this side over here to lock it up position out of the way. Then we're going to come to the back. I'm going to power it off, unplug it, and then I'm going to remove these bumpers. Set them aside. Then I'm going to remove all the screws on the seam on both sides. That side and this side over here. Going to remove all of those screws. The next step is we're going to take our number 3 Allen wrench and we're going to loosen up all of the Allen head screws. We don't want to take them all the way out. We just want to loosen them up enough to where it'll slide off. Once we have those loose, we can just grab the back cover and gently slide it back out of the way. Once we get the back cover off, we want to disconnect the power switch so we can set the back cover out of the way. So next thing you want to do is loosen up the pre-tensioner. So we're just going to push down on this just a little bit and then pop this off and then raise that up. So that puts slack in the belt. Then we're going to grab a wrench and we're going to loosen the lock nuts on the tensioner. I'm going to loosen both sides and then we will remove them completely. Next, we're going to grab our number 3 Allen wrench again, and we're going to remove the 4 screws, 2 on each side, that hold the blocks on. Set those aside. Next, we're going to use the included drift pin to punch out the pin that is holding the belt together. Once you get it started, you can see it coming out the other side. Grab a pair of pliers, pull out your pin, and your belt's now free. Pull it out the front. There's your belt removed. Next, we're going to take our new belt, and it's going to be really stiff because it's new. So I'm just going to work it in just a little bit to make it easier to work with. We're going to make sure that the slotted side goes to our left, to the hard side of the machine. And I just feed it in from the back. Roughly until our seam is back where it was on the back. And then I'm going to take the front to the other one, feed it underneath, being careful not to catch any of the wires. And I'm going to pull it out like so. Next, we're going to take our pin and we're going to reinsert it into the belt, feeding it through all of the different tabs. Once you got it started most of the way, you can go ahead and grab your pliers and push it the rest of the way in. Just like that. So then we're going to reapply our pre-tensioner. We're just going to move this down to where the roller is in the down position and then lock this tab into place. Then we're going to reinstall our tensioner blocks. Let's slide that through there, back on here. Once again, we're going to take our 3mm Allen wrench. Start the top and bottom. Once both are started, you can go ahead and tighten them all the way down. Careful not to over tighten, just tighten them until they stop and then 1/4 turn past. We'll do the same thing on the other side. Once both are started, we'll go ahead and tighten it down until it stops, 1/4 turn past. Until it stops, 1/4 turn past. Next, we're going to reinstall our washers and our lock nuts on each side. Before we reinstall the back cover, we want to make sure that these nuts are perpendicular to the slots in the frame. So I'm going to turn that and just tighten it down, just barely tight. I'm going to do that to all of the lock nuts, or the T-nuts, all the way around. And when we're finished, it should look like that. That way it'll easily slide back on the channel. Next, we're going to reapply our power switch. The lock tab goes on the inside here. Snap that into place. And then we are going to slide our back cover back on. Gently. Making sure that the tabs go underneath on both sides. And we'll slide it in until it stops. Next, we're going to go ahead and we're going to loosen these back up most of the way and then tighten them. What this does is it allows the hammerhead to turn into the locking position so that it stays. And we'll do that all the way around. Next, I'm going to reinstall all of my screws and the seams on both sides. Being careful not to over tighten these. We just tighten them until it stops. We don't want to crack the plastic. Next, we're going to go over how to properly align the belt on the rollers. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to connect power back to our machine, and then we'll turn it on. Next, we're going to lock our blades back down in the run position. Next, we're going to tighten up the right-hand side first, a few turns, and then just a couple on the left-hand side. Then we'll go back up front and hit the start button. We're going to watch it run. You'll see the belt move one direction or the other, and ideally we want to make sure that that stays centered. So it's coming a little too far to the left. I'm going to tighten the right side down a couple turns and hit start. As I tighten it, you can see it starts to wander back over. I'm going to hit start again. Give it a couple more turns. Now it's starting to go just a little too far to the right, so we're going to tighten this one back down, or tighten it down some more to move it. Hit start again. feel underneath to make sure that the belt's nice and tight, which it is. It's running centered. That's how you adjust the belt. Last thing here in the back of the machine, we're going to go ahead and put our bumpers back on to prevent anybody from getting injured on these screws. As a final sanity check, we're going to run the belt with nothing on it and make sure that this does not trip at all, so that way you don't get a false reading. So we're just going to run it a couple times. Watch the green light, make sure it does not turn on. And do it one more time. If no green light, then we're all good to go. As far as safety features go, we want to make sure that we never stick our hand or anything in here because of the cross-cut blade. There's a warning label. This area from here to here is the cutting area. No foreign objects, no hands, nothing should be in this area at any time while the machine's running. And then on the side, we have the emergency stop. If something does happen to jam or cause a problem, we can hit the emergency stop, and it'll tell you that the stop has been pressed. To release it, we're just going to twist it and pop it out, and then we can hit restart the system.
To learn more about the Cuttin Station or any of our other Unit Dose barcode labeling products, please contact us at the information provided. Thank you again for using Accu-Chart for all of your pill packaging needs.